All right, this is Do Stuff, Get Things. I'm Jeff Miller,
I'm Nick Sherman.
and we're here today to talk about UFC 162, Silva versus Weidman,
This Saturday night, July 6th.
at the somewhere that nobody really cares about because they're going to watch it anyway.
I think it's MGM Grand, Jeff.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
MGM Grand. We'll take his word for it. All right, so we're just going to jump right into it. So fight one is David Mitchell versus Mike Pierce. I'm going with David Mitchell. He's actually from Windsor, California. He's got 9 submission victories out of all of his UFC fights so far in the UFC have gone to decision. So not really the best record so far in the UFC, but his last fight with Simone Thorson, he in the second round he did really good. He ended up rocking Mitchell, or Mitchell rocked him and was really dominant in the whole round. They stood up, and then it was kind of like he almost let Thorson take him down just so he could kind of show his ground game. At one point, he almost had him like in a go-go, all that kind of stuff, like friggin' put his leg up, had like the shin underneath his jaw and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, whoa. But yeah, I don't know. So he's got a lot of submission victories. I think he could pull one out Saturday. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think Mike Pierce has this one.
Really?
100%. He's been in really tough spots before. Always gets out of them. I mean, he's a huge pressure fighter. I mean, this guy's 16-5. His only losses are decisions. He had a close split decision loss to Josh Koscheck.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's won his last 3 fights. He just knocked out Aaron Simpson. He beat Seth Baczynski. And he's a grinder. He's a wrestler. He pushes forward, hits hard, doesn't give up.
So you say no matter what, Mike Pierce?
I think no matter what, Mike Pierce. I don't think Mitchell will submit him.
Not even close? Not a chance?
Not a chance.
Just not the UFC caliber that everybody's used to seeing. And that's kind of my thought that I have too. It's like he's been in the UFC this whole time, but all of his UFC fights have been the decision. Just like super dominant everywhere else he fought. 9 submission victories. I mean, you can't kind of just write that off. That's kind of a big deal. But at the same time, it's kind of like you'd think he would have one in the UFC by now. He's had 3 fights in the UFC to do it, but hasn't done it just yet.
Yep, he's no Damian Maia.
Exactly. All right, so second fight would be Brian Melencon versus Seth Baczynski. So you go ahead.
I've got Seth Baczynski. He fights here in our hometown, Tempe, Arizona. He fights out of Power MMA with Ryan Bader, Aaron Simpson. He was actually on The Ultimate Fighter. I forget what season he was. I think 12?
Yeah, I want to say 12.
12?
It was the one after. It was well after UK versus USA.
Right. He was. He fought as a middleweight, actually. He lost his UFC debut to Brad Tavares. He was cut. Won a couple fights on the local circuits, came back, and he's pretty much been on a streak, except for his last fight against Mike Pierce, which he just got taken down repeatedly, couldn't do anything off of his back. Yeah. I think he takes this one. I think he has more experience. He trains with higher caliber fighters.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think he had some really, really impressive performances his first 4 fights back in the UFC, and then just that one loss to Mike Pierce. I mean, Mike Pierce is so tough.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it was kind of hard to go with David Mitchell in that first fight, but yeah, Mike Pierce is certainly tough. Definitely did a really good job in that fight. Brian, however, I'm kind of feeling that. Former Strikeforce fighter, UFC debut. In his last he beat Felipe Portela. Unanimous decision, wasn't super good. However, he was really gnarly with his punches and his knees and stuff. So I really liked that about him. Really good striking, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of think that he stands a chance. I think it's going to be a better fight than people think it is. I read a lot of stuff that said hands down Seth was going to take it. Local boy, got to root for Seth. But yeah, definitely going to be a good fight. And then we have Edson Barboza versus Rafael Oliveira. I had Rafael Oliveira just because fights out of New Jersey, fights out over there with Frankie Edgar. And just kind of in the New Jersey area. He's at AMA Fight Club, though, so he's over there with Jim and Dan Miller. So they have a really good camp. They have a lot of really good fighters, really good caliber of fighters there. He's got really good strikes, really impressive strikes. And, he's just got pretty good. His last fight was actually really good. He won by decision, but he was really impressive in the stand-up, which was kind of a thing that he hadn't really showcased before, and I really liked that. Yeah, I don't know. What do you got?
Yeah, I got to go with Edson Barboza. He's Brazilian dude. He's 11-1. He has one KO loss to Jamie Varner. I think he just took Jamie Varner way too lightly. Jamie Varner was supposed to lose that fight. Comes in, knocks him the fuck out. I think he just really surprised him. He has a lot of highlight reel knockouts, especially over I think the most famous one is his spinning wheel kick knockout of Terry Edom.
Yeah.
I think that was UFC 142. But he's a really dynamic striker. He likes to throw a lot of leg kicks, lots of punches. I think he takes this one.
Takes it. Yeah, no, that's going to be good. Like, keeping him on the feet, keeping him honest with those leg kicks, keeping the distance. Like, he also has a really good jab. But I took Oliveira. I got a feeling, if you will. I got a feeling. So now what we got? We got Gabriel Gonzaga versus Dave Herman. Go ahead.
So, Gabe Gonzaga, I got him. He's only 14-7, sort of deceiving. He's been around a long time. He just hasn't had that many professional fights. I think he takes this one. He's looked really impressive since he's been back in the UFC. He was cut a couple of years ago. Kind of got back to his roots, his jiu-jitsu roots. He came back to the UFC, submitted 2 guys in a row in the UFC, submitted a guy previous to that. His previous fight was a loss to Travis Brown by knockout. Travis Brown is awesome.
Travis Brown's really up there now, though, right?
Oh yeah. He's a legit fighter. He's no slouch. Nobody to lose to. I just think he's been really impressive since he's got back. I think he has a chance of either knocking out Dave Herman or submitting him.
Yeah, no, I really like this fight because this is both a couple guys that are really good, but they're kind of just sort of lingering like right at the edge or just outside of the top 10 in the heavyweight division. So, I do really like both of them. They're both really good. I gave the nod to Dave Herman. He has lost 3 in a row, but he's at a really good gym right now. He's at Team Quest. He's training with Henderson, Sonnen, Matt Lindland, all that kind of stuff. But if you look at his last 3 losses, it was to Little Nog, Roy Nelson, and Stefan Struve.
Yeah, no slouches.
Yeah, exactly. Like Little Nog, or Big Nog, rather. I'm sorry. He's always up there. He's always in the talk about like the top 5, top 10. Roy Nelson has worked his way up. He's lost, I forget who he just lost to, but Roy Nelson has been really good, as well as Stefan Struve. Stefan Struve got all the way up there, and he lost, and he's kind of fallen back down. But definitely Dave Herman has fought a lot of really good guys and all that kind of stuff. Definitely has good knockout power. Gonzaga's coming off a knockout. Definitely a reason why I took him there. And then also, he's got really good ground game, but I don't think I would use that as an argument for why he would beat Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think he definitely needs to strike with Gonzaga
yeah,
if he has any chance of winning.
Yeah, keeping it on the feet would definitely be his key there. Mm-hmm. But and now there's my favorite fight, fight 5, Andrew Craig versus Chris Lieben. Yeah, Chris Lieben, fun. Hands down. Chris Lieben is back in lives out of Oregon, but he actually just moved to Alliance MMA with Dominic Cruz, Ross Pearson, Brandon Vera, all those guys. He's 22-9. And I just kind of think that 9 is really a bad number for him. You think of who he's lost to. He's lost to Anderson Silva. He's lost to a whole bunch of guys that he should have lost to, but he's beat a lot of guys that he really should have lost to. Akiyama, nobody forgets that fight. If you were watching that fight, you were on your feet at the end of it. It was so back and forth. He was starting to lose, and you just thought, okay, we'll just wait for this to get over so Akiyama can win the decision. Throws up his legs, triangles him, chokes him the fuck out. Done. Just the most amazing thing I've ever seen in UFC. Like the whole time I've been watching it, just so awesome. just can't say enough about Chris Lieben. I mean, I remember watching him season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter, where they all go out, they all get ready to do that the run, on the treadmill. He stays out until like 3 a.m, getting just wasted drunk the night before, and it's their first day going in to work out. All the guys go in, none of them complete the run except for one guy, and it was Chris Lieben. And that's because that dude just has so much heart. It's just even if he loses, nobody's ever going to take that from him. And I just feel like even when he's down, he's on his way back up. When he's his lowest is when he's his highest. And that's just kind of why I pick him right now, coming off 3 losses. Yeah,
I agree. I got to go with Chris Lieben as well. But, Andrew Craig isn't quite a slouch. He's a newcomer, and it seems like they're kind of feeding him to the wolves, really. I mean, Chris Lieben has the hardest left hand probably in the middleweight division. I mean, I don't think there's many people that can stand and take that shot on their chin and not get knocked out. So Andrew Craig, he's 8-1. He just fought Ronnie Marks. He lost by decision. He really tends to start out slow and make huge comebacks like Chris Lieben. See, he's really only been fighting professionally since 2010. He doesn't have much experience. I think Chris Lieben definitely takes this fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's just experience, all that kind of stuff, definitely in Chris Lieben's favor. But again, I think we're going to see the most action we're going to see out of it is probably like second round, probably even third round when it goes deeper, when both of the guys are kind of just looking to.
And neither guy is afraid to throw down, so I think this will be a good fight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so fight 6, we have Cub Swanson versus Dennis Seaver.
I got to take Cub Swanson. He's 19-5. He had a okay run in the WEC before it merged with the UFC. After they merged, I mean, he had a couple tough losses. I mean, Jose Aldo, that famous double knee to the eye, huge cut on his forehead, and lost in just a few seconds. He had kind of an unimpressive UFC debut, but he's really been on a tear since then. He's won his last 4 straight, 3 by stoppage, either TKO or KO. Dennis Seaver has looked impressive since he dropped down to featherweight. I think it's going to be tough. I'm going to take Cub Swanson though. I think Dennis Seaver's too hard to put away. I think it'll be Cub Swanson by decision.
Cub Swanson by. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like if you just look at Dennis Seaver's stats, he's 21-8, 1 knockout, 1 loss by knockout, 5 submissions, and 2 by decision. But I mean, you look at his wins: 21 wins, 5 KOs, 9 submissions, 7 decisions. I mean, definitely. I actually, to be honest with you, before I looked this up, I did not know he had that many submissions. Every time I think of Dennis Seaver, I think of an absolute grind, the whole 15 minutes. An absolute decision that whether he squeaks it out or he just dominates. But I don't really see him as a finisher until I saw that stat. I had no idea he had that many submissions.
Yeah.
So I mean, that definitely. You look at Cub Swanson's, he's got a lot of submissions, all that kind of stuff. It could turn into a really nice ground battle, that sort of thing. Really excited to see that fight. Always excited to see Dennis Seaver fight. So, definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see Dennis Seaver get back to what he was doing when he first joined the UFC. Lots of spinning back kicks to the liver, just knocking guys out that
crazy
way. That
stuff.
was awesome.
Yeah.
2 kickboxers. I think it'll be a good fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we have Mark Munoz versus Tim Bosch. So Mark Munoz fighting out of Mission Viejo, California. He's at Reign MMA. Recently beat a lot of really important contenders. TKO'd Chris Lieben, unanimous decision against Damian Maia. I mean, like, he went on the ground with Damian Maia. And I mean, that's kind of, he's a wrestler, but Damian Maia has done pretty well against wrestlers, even though he's like got that really big jiu-jitsu background. But he was able to unanimously decision Damian Maia. Knocked out CB Dollaway. Can't ignore that. I mean, CB Dollaway was so dominant, especially in his season of The Ultimate Fighter. Just nobody wanted to fight CB Dollaway in that season. And he came out, kind of got that loss to Amir Sadal or whatever, but he's always been a strong fighter. Knocked out CB Dollaway. I remember watching that, just going crazy. And then he also unanimously decisioned against Aaron Simpson. I mean, that's not easy to ignore. I mean, Aaron Simpson is a big wrestler. You know what I mean? Especially even for that class. He's a big guy. And the wrestling, all that kind of stuff, can't hate that. I mean, and then you look at it, and his last fight that he lost was to Chris Weidman, who's fighting for the title. It's kind of like that's sort of a big deal, So, I mean, I definitely take him for that. Definitely needs to win this to stay in the top 10, though. I kind of think that's really important for either one of these guys. I think this is another one of those fights where they're not necessarily fighting for their job, but I definitely think that they're fighting to stay relevant in the division.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I got Tim Bosch. He's been on a tear since he dropped down to middleweight. He's 16-5 overall. He's won a lot of fights that he was supposed to lose. He fought Yushin Okami. That was a huge win for him. I mean, that really shot him upward in the division. So his last fight was a loss to Konstantinos Philippou by TKO in the third round. Konstantinos Philippou is a great fighter. It's not the end of the world to lose to a guy like that. I think Mark Munoz takes this. I think he has more experience. I think Mark Munoz's wrestling is just completely superior to Tim Bosch.
Yeah.
I think he absolutely takes this fight.
All right, cool. Next, we're going fight 8. We have Roger Gracie versus Tim Kennedy. So Roger Gracie, I mean, automatically you say Gracie and you think jiu-jitsu, you think Black House, all that kind of stuff. He fights out of Black House. He was pretty dominant contender in Strikeforce. UFC debut, of course. Hasn't lost since 2011 when he was TKO'd by Lawal. Lawal. Muhammad.
King Mo.
King Mo. Oh, that's King Mo?
King
okay,
Mo.
yeah. So since he was TKO'd by King Mo back in 2011. So, I mean, and King Mo was like a big guy in Strikeforce, right?
Yep.
Wasn't he the champion for a long time too? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like, so he's submitted a lot of good guys. I mean, obviously he has submission capability. I mean, he's a friggin' Gracie. I mean, it's kind of like if you're born with that name, you automatically just,
I mean, he took the title from Gegard Mousasi.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't think it's going to be a total domination of him, but, I mean, I definitely think that he stands a chance in this fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as a lot of people think, but definitely think it's going to be a good fight.
I think Tim Kennedy is going to take this fight. He's a great fighter. He's really well-rounded. I mean, he can do anything. He can wrestle, he can strike, he can grapple on the ground. I think Tim Kennedy is just so tough. I don't think Roger Gracie's going to be able to choke him out or submit him in any form. I think Tim Kennedy wins this fight by decision.
By decision. All right, cool. Okay. So fight 9 is going to be Frankie Edgar versus Charles Oliveira.
All right, so I got to go with Frankie Edgar. I think Charles Oliveira is good. I don't think he's the caliber of fighter that Frankie Edgar is. He's 16-3 with 1 no contest. His last loss was to Cub Swanson. He got knocked out in the first round. I mean, this guy, when he came into the UFC, everybody thought he was the greatest thing. He has crazy submissions. He's very active off of his back. He just hasn't fought the level of fighter that Frankie Edgar is. I think Frankie Edgar has the experience. I mean, this is Frankie Edgar's first non-title fight since, I think, 2009.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been fighting the top guys for 4 years. I think he easily takes this fight. I think he may even be able to finish him.
Yeah, finish him in this fight?
Yeah.
So Frankie Edgar, Toms River, New Jersey, been fighting nothing but title fights since 2009. Title fight after title fight after title fight. I don't know how much I like him at flyweight, but I mean, it's definitely, he's kind of in there. At 155, he was just kind of in that bubble where, like, there was 3 guys that at any time, like, there was just a triangle. Like, if they would have just all fought in a certain order, it would have just changed between those 3 guys the whole time. And that's definitely what I feel like. I mean, I just feel like Ben Henderson is one of the only guys that he won't ever be able to best. And I feel like that's just kind of who has the title. And as soon as somebody takes it away from him, it's going to be Frankie Edgar's again. But, I mean, he definitely doesn't really have a whole lot of knockout power, which is kind of why that surprises me that you said that he's going to finish him. I mean, that's cool if you think that. I just don't know. I mean, again, it's kind of like what I was talking about in one of those other fights. I had no idea that he had Frankie Edgar has 15 wins, 4 KOs, 3 submissions, and 8 decisions. And that sounds really right to me. I mean, I know that he's had a lot of decisions. I feel like all of his go the distance. However, I don't feel like he's like
I don't think he's gonna knock him out. I think he has a chance of submitting him.
Of submitting him or like TKO.
I mean, Jim Miller pulled off that miraculous knee bar on him.
Yeah, that's true.
On Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, no, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Frankie Edgar. I guess it's just me. I don't associate him with finishing fights. But at the same time, I don't associate him with finishing fights. However, he doesn't look bad at the end of the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's kind of like one of those guys like that. Their cardio and just their conditioning and just how in shape they are and how much energy they have kind of rivals a lot of those guys like Clay Guida and all that kind of stuff. And even if they get outclassed, they're still definitely the guy that could go run a mile in under 8 minutes compared to their opponent. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I pick him. Again, just, stamina alone, he's always got the edge on pretty much everybody. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we agree, Frankie Edgar. All right, and then we got the main event. We got Matt Wiman versus Anderson Silva.
Chris Weidman.
Chris Weidman. What did I say?
Matt Wiman.
I said handsome, huh?
handsome Matt
Wiman. No, so Chris Weidman versus Anderson Silva. You can't say Anderson Silva and, it really doesn't matter who he's fighting. It's just kind of like, that's going to be an awesome fight, or it's going to be a fight where he runs away from him and acts funny the whole time like he did against Damian Maia. But, definitely taking Anderson Silva. Every time you see him fight, it's kind of like, who is he fighting? Who is he going to beat this time? It's just kind of the last person we really saw challenge him was Chael Sonnen. And I kind of think Weidman is underexperienced compared to somebody like Chael Sonnen or anybody else we've seen really put it to Anderson Silva. I mean, Anderson Silva has a record you can't ignore, submits people, knocks people out. I mean, how he just made Forrest Griffin just look like he was nothing. And at that time, Forrest Griffin was like still in the top 10, and he just walked in and was like, see you later.
Yep.
I just Anderson Silva will never cease to amaze. And I'm not alone in that. So, I definitely got to take him. It'd be cool to see Weidman. Don't get me wrong. I'm always rooting for not the champion, pretty much. I always like to see it change hands. I always like to see somebody have something creative for the champion. But, got to take Anderson Silva.
Yeah, I got to go to... My gut tells me Anderson Silva's going to win. Now, I don't think Chris Weidman is going to make the same mistake that Chael Sonnen did. I think he's too good to get submitted. I don't think he's going to attempt a
spinning back fist, spinning elbow, or whatever the hell that was.
Spinning forearm to air and fall over.
And fall with your guard up.
I'm rooting for Chris Weidman. He's a young kid. He's been really impressive. He's cut a lot of weight for very short notice. His fight with Damian Maia, I think he had to cut 20-something pounds in 10 days or something like that. Just crazy amounts of weight.
It's nuts.
This guy he's always in shape. He's looked incredibly impressive. Every fight that he's had a full training camp for, he has destroyed the guy. His fight with Mark Munoz was crazy. Mark Munoz is coming in with I think it was an overhand right, and Chris Weidman just comes in with a quick short elbow right to the forehead, basically knocks him down, finishes him with punches. Mark Munoz is left in a bloody mess. He has awesome submissions. I really don't feel like he has a chance of finishing Silva unless he lands a miraculous right hand. But that's what everybody was saying about everybody pretty much.
Chael Sonnen, nobody gave him a shot.
No.
I certainly didn't. I certainly didn't think it would go that way. But again, you're right as far as Chris Weidman, just the beating he put on Mark Munoz, and especially after Mark Munoz, like I said, beat a ton of really good people, and Weidman just went in there and took him out.
Oh yeah.
And so there's not really a question as to whether or not it should be Weidman fighting him, but at the same time, it's kind of like he's 9-0, which is awesome, but it's 9 fights in the UFC is kind of in MMA rather, not even just in the UFC. In MMA, I think is kind of low for the caliber that Silva is at right now.
He's only been fighting professionally since 2009. 9 fights in 4 years really isn't too much. I mean, he's been out for almost a year, so that's 9 fights in 3 years, really. I mean, 3 fights a year. I mean, even on the local circuit, that's not that much. I think it's kind of an interesting story. I mean, he's trained by Matt Serra. Matt Serra, who ironically just retired. There's an old video blog of him a few years back saying, Chris Weidman, he's the next champ. I mean, this was before he was even in the UFC, before he got the call. I think his first fight was Alessio Sakara.
Yeah.
I think, Matt Serra, one of the owner of pretty much the greatest upset in UFC history.
Yep.
I mean, he's calling Chris Weidman the champ. Obviously, he's a little biased. He's his trainer. I think Chris Weidman is going to give Anderson Silva a rough time. I mean, rougher than a lot of the fights he's had. But I want him to win. I think Anderson Silva takes this.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so too. But yeah, so that is us. Do stuff, get things. UFC162. Follow me on Twitter. Do stuff at do stuff get hings. There's only one T. I'm Jeff Miller.
I'm Nick Sherman.
And good night, YouTube.